What's happening, YouTube? Welcome back to the Life's Good. I hope you've all recovered from the firework party the other night. That was quite a pivotal moment in the Life's Good as far as the channel is concerned. We actually went up to 102 subscribers on Saturday evening, although I noticed this morning that's dropped back to 101. Not to worry. Sometimes people see a video and they think, oh, I like that subject, but then they realise the rest of the videos aren't the same subject, so not necessarily suitable for them. I don't mind. Well, as I said, welcome back. Now, I'm preparing some dinner. Don't worry, it's not a cooking video. We did the jam making the other day. They tend to be a bit long, them videos. No, it's not a cooking video. However, I am preparing lunch. Cheryl's on night shift and therefore she's currently in bed, so I have to be cautious I don't disturb her. But during the preparation of dinner, I popped out in the garden and selected some herbs, and I suddenly realised we do have quite a few herbs here, and I do use most of them in the cooking in the kitchen. And I just had a little forage a moment ago, and I've assembled some things that I've just fetched in from the little garden outside the kitchen window, and I just wanted to show you guys what I was able to bring in. Well, I've got quite a nice little array of herbs here. I was very surprised when I started foraging and bringing them in. I'll go through them all one at a time for you, just to show you what I've got and what you can easily grow in your garden for use in the kitchen for all sorts of culinary dishes and so on. First one on the left, this is quite common. Most gardens would have this, I would imagine. This is mint. Now, mint can actually take over your garden quite well. If you let it run wild, it sends out runners and very quickly invades a space. So you need to keep it in check. I get over that problem by keeping it in a pot. I've got a very large ornamental flower pot and I grow my mint in that. But to whip out and grab a few mint leaves or a sprig of mint by the back door, it is wonderful. Cheryl uses it in some cocktails and as a decoration on puddings, desserts. And I put it in all sorts of dishes with other herbs, especially when you're cooking with lamb. The mint's a good one. But that's so easy to grow, readily available. If somebody's got some mint in their garden, grab a piece, put it in a pot, and you'll always have mint available to use indoors. Next to that, I've got sage, and I grew this from seed this year. I bought a little packet of sage seeds. I sowed some in a small pot and then pricked them out into larger individual pots. And I've now got some sage plants growing in the little flower bed under the kitchen window. And this sage smells absolutely gorgeous. It's got a wonderful aroma, fantastic in all sorts of dishes and casseroles, pork especially, and with chicken, lots of other uses. Sage is wonderful to have in the garden, grows really well. Next along there, I've got some marjoram. This grows easily. It's a low clump forming plant. I've got a couple of sprigs here. I just keep trimming it off with scissors, bringing it in, using the leaves rather than the stalks in the cooking. And again, a wonderful one to add where you need some mixed herbs in a dish, a stew, a casserole, soup, all manner of things. Marjoram's a good one to have. This one is, as the Americans would call this, you probably recognise this. This is oregano, or in England we call it oregano. Sounds like a paper folding game, doesn't it? But oregano, very useful in all sorts of dishes. This and the marjoram combined, diced together, chopped up fine and sprinkled on pizzas and things like that is really nice. But the oregano, together with some of the other items here, again, a wonderful addition to flavour your stews, casseroles and other dishes in the kitchen. This one I'm sure is readily recognisable. This is my rosemary. We've got a shrub of rosemary in the garden. It does need to be pruned regularly because it is getting large and overrunning. But rosemary again is a wonderful one to have. A sprig of rosemary in with your roast lamb. I use rosemary, a sprig of rosemary when I'm making a lamb tagine. I put a large sprig on top before I put the lid on and cook that in the oven. But rosemary, a nice little shrub, has some pretty flowers on as well at certain times of the year and has a wonderful flavour. Next along here, this is sorrel. Sorrel doesn't have a lot of uses. It does have a lemony flavour to it. The tender smaller leaves we add to salad. You can dice it and put it in a sauce to have with fish dishes. It's very good with fish. I'm not sure it has any medicinal uses, but the sorrel's useful to have in the garden, and dice that up. You can add that with some of the other herbs here, and that will give a subtle lemony, or in fact Mediterranean aroma and flavour to some of your dishes. Just above from the sorrel, another one, I'm sure you'll recognise this one, guys. Anyone know? Of course, it's basil. We grow basil in pots. I grow it from seed. We bring the pots into the kitchen and let them mature, where we're constantly pruning off little bits, adding to tomato dishes especially. It's very good. Some of the leaves thrown into a mixed salad is a good idea. But particularly flavouring sauces, especially with pasta, this basil is very, very good. And the one other item on the top of the board here, just under the kitchen window, we have a culinary bay. And the bay leaves, you can see this one is quite shiny. I've shown you not many videos ago where I pruned my bay and I took all the leaves off and I've dried them, and I do have a couple of jars of dried bay leaves in the cupboard here in the kitchen, which I use to add to curries, rice dishes, couscous, stews, casseroles, all manner of things. And if you want a nice bay leaf to decorate a dish, a nice fresh one of these from the garden is ideal. And what I find when you use the bay leaf is if you roll it up and crack it. So if I can do this, guys, I'll show you. You just get hold of it and just fold it over and roll it up, and then give it a little bit of a flex like that. You actually crack the veins in the leaf and release all the oils. I can smell that here now, and I'm stood behind the camera, but that helps to release the oils from the bay. So if you're going to put bay leaves in a hot dish, i.e. a stew or a casserole, give it a little bit of a fold up and a squidge around before you put it in, and you release a lot more of the flavour. It's just something that actually an Italian chef that I knew some years ago showed me that, and I've always done it ever since. But instead of using the fresh ones, just use your dried ones from the pot in the kitchen. Now, if you try and fold them up, like I've just done, they will actually crack into lots of little bits because they're completely dry and like paper. But if you add them to a dried leaf, if you add that to a stew or a casserole, it does sort of gain moisture and become quite soft again. But that's your bay leaves. So I just thought I'd show you those, guys, because I went outside, as I said, to get some herbs for our dinner. I wanted to add some mixed herbs to, I'm actually making a shepherd's pie, and I wanted to make Paul put some mixed herbs in the base mixture before I put the potato topping on. And I've just got that simmering on the stove as we speak. So I'll be coming back to that later this afternoon. But don't worry, I won't be forcing you to watch my culinary expertise in the kitchen today. I just wanted to show you the herbs. What I am going to do now is I have a little job to do in the garden. I'll take you along with me, and I'm going to nip out. And I know it's raining, but unfortunately, needs must, my potatoes need earthing up. So we'll pop outside and I'll show you how I do that. Well, I hope you guys have got a pullover on or your jacket or something, because it's a bit chilly out here, although it's actually stopped raining. Now, I know we haven't had much rain for quite a while. The last day, 24 hours or so, It's been steadily dropping a little bit of liquid, but not actually pouring down. It's just a drizzle here and a drizzle there, but it's enough to give all the plants a drink. So I'm pleased about that. I did check the water, but there is a little bit gone in there, but not as much as I would like. Not to worry. Let's come on down to the plot here. I expect Daisy will give us a greeting. She's been broody for a few days, and she suddenly decided she's out and about and she's going to tell me a story or two. I'll just flip you around and see if I can let you see her. There you go, guys. Good morning, Daisy. Say hello to the viewer. It's very polite, yeah. Aren't you good? Well, I just want to show you the broad beans here, guys. They're doing really well. And everything else is much the same as it was the last time I showed you. But I'm trying not to swing you too much. Let's have a look in here. This tub of potatoes, look at the foliage in there, guys. That is now ready to be earthed up. I've got the other one sitting out on the plot. There's 4 tubs sitting out there. I've got 3 sitting over there, and I've got a collection of them here, including the shopping bag. And if I open the bag, let you look inside there. Look at that, guys. Growing potatoes in a shopping bag. If you watch the video, you'll see how I used the bag, put the soil in, and planted my potatoes in there. So I'm going to set to earthing up. Now, earthing up is where we actually allow the foliage from the potatoes to grow through here. And when they're about this height, this sort of 2 inches or so, you cover them. Now, just showing through that one. I think I'll still cover it just the same. Just checking the others. They're all just coming through. And that last one there. And what we do now, the earthing up process, is cover those with compost. I've got that bin there. That actually is where I store my compost. I open one of the bags. I've got several bags stacked there. I open a bag and I put it inside here. And it makes it a lot easier to decant and keeps it protected. So I shall be using that and slowly topping up these tubs with compost. I'll set you up on the tripod and let you see what I'm doing. Can you see this okay, guys? This is one of my larger tubs in which I'd planted 4 or 5 or so seed potatoes, covered them with a couple of inches of compost, and I've allowed those to grow through now. And as you can see, we've got a reasonable amount of foliage showing through in here. And what I need to do now is the process of earthing up. And I'm earthing up in a tub. Traditionally, earthing up was done out on the ground, where you grew your potatoes in rows, and as the foliage came through, you dragged the soil up from the sides and covered them, and gradually created ridges across your plot, and within those ridges is where where the potatoes grew. When you're growing them in pots like this, we still call it earthing up, although you're just covering up really. And I've allowed this potato, or these potatoes, to come through, show their foliage like that, and just cover them with the fresh compost. Only just and just, so you can see there's the leaf there, so you've got it just and just covered. It's as simple as that, guys. I'll just drop a little bit more on there, spread that across there. I haven't filled it all the way up, just enough to cover that foliage, and I will do all the other pots the same, and then we allow them to grow through some more. And once you've got a similar amount of foliage showing again, you put more compost in and cover them some more until you've filled the pot, and then you allow the foliage to grow on. thanks for popping in, guys. I hope that was quite useful for you. I did show you in a previous video how I planted the seed potatoes in the containers, and I said that I would bring you back and show you what happens next. This is the next stage, the earthing up process. As I said, you just cover them until you've just covered the foliage, let them grow through some more, cover them again. You repeat that process until you've filled the pot. The new potatoes will be formed above the seed potato. So between the seed potato and the soil surface, that is the area in which you get your new potatoes. The idea of earthing up is to encourage more growth, longer stems, also to protect them from frost and other inclement conditions, and hopefully you get a good crop of potatoes. Whilst I was here working this afternoon, I've noticed that although we've had some rain in the last 24 hours, the soil here on my plot is still looking very dry. We've had a damping, but it's not really soaked the soil, and it certainly hasn't topped up those water butts. I've had a look, and this particular one behind me here is still only about 1.5 feet deep. If we had a decent rainfall, the guttering from the shed and the greenhouse will fill that in a good storm or an evening's rain or night's rain. That has hardly topped up. I have checked everything. There are no blockages in the pipes, so therefore we haven't had that much rain. We've had some rain. Still keeping an eye on that one, guys. Right, I'm just going to finish off out here. I'm going to pop back in, finish the dinner, and whatever you're doing, you look after yourselves, all right? Subscribe, okay? I'm sure it's in that corner. Gosh, the amount of times I got this one wrong. Hit that little red subscribe button, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up, come back and see us soon. You take care of yourselves, be safe, be happy, all the best. Bye bye now.